The mud under me was warm with my own blood, and I remember thinking that was strange. Blood should feel cold when you are dying. Mine did not. It felt like the last warm thing left in the world. I could not move my legs. My rifle lay somewhere beyond my reach, half buried in the churned earth. Smoke drifted low across the field, and through it I could see shapes moving. Tall, armored figures with too many joints in their limbs, walking among the fallen. Not my people. The enemy had won this field, and I was one of the pieces left behind when the game ended. I did not feel brave. I want to say that clearly, because later people would call me brave, and I never understood why. I was just a soldier who had run out of places to run. My squad was gone. The transport was gone. There was only the sky above me, gray and heavy, and the slow count of my own heartbeat growing further apart each time. I thought about my mother's kitchen. I thought about the smell of rain on hot pavement back home. I did not think about medals or duty or any of the things they tell you to think about. I just wanted 5 more minutes of something ordinary. That was when the light came. It did not arrive like an explosion or a weapon. It came the way morning comes. Slow, spreading, impossible to point to a single source. The smoke around me seemed to bend away from it, curling back like it was afraid. I heard sounds I did not expect. Not shouting, not gunfire. I heard armored soldiers, the same ones who had been walking among the dead a moment before, drop to their knees in the mud. I thought I was imagining it. I thought this was what dying looked like, the mind inventing something beautiful to soften the end. Then I saw her. She did not walk so much as arrive, each step certain, as if the ground itself had been waiting to hold her weight. She was tall, taller than anyone I had ever stood beside, and her skin held a faint light beneath it, like something ancient was still burning inside her. Her eyes were the first thing that told me she was not death. Death does not have eyes like that. Hers were old, older than the war around us, older than anything I could measure. But they were not empty. They were watching me, the way you watch something you are afraid to lose. The enemy soldiers did not raise their weapons at her. They lowered their heads. One of them said a word I did not understand, but I understood the tone. It was the tone you use for a name you are not allowed to speak carelessly. I understood then, in the dim, fading way a dying man understands things, that I was looking at something they worshipped. She knelt beside me. The mud did not seem to touch her. I remember being embarrassed, somehow, that she was seeing me like this, torn open, useless, more blood than soldier. I tried to speak. Nothing came out but a breath. Her hand came to rest against my chest, light as a question. I flinched, expecting pain, but there was none. Just warmth, spreading slow beneath my skin, the way heat spreads through cold hands held near a fire. She tilted her head, studying me the way you might study something rare and unexpected, something you did not think existed until it was right in front of you, not with pity. I want to be clear about that, because pity was not what I saw in her face. It was closer to wonder. Then she leaned down, and her voice reached me. Not loud, not commanding, just close, like a secret meant only for me. You will live. I did not believe her. I do not think I was capable of believing anything at that point. But something shifted in my chest, a pressure easing where there had only been pain before. The gray sky above me seemed to pull back, and darkness took me. Not the darkness of dying, but something gentler, like sleep. When I woke, I was warm. That was the first thing I noticed. No mud beneath me, no smoke in my throat. I was lying on something soft, in a room built from stone that seemed to hold its own quiet light. Veins of gold running through the walls like something alive beneath the surface. The air smelled faintly of something I could not name. Clean, old, like the inside of a place that had never known dust. I sat up slowly, testing my body. My legs worked. My chest, where I remembered the worst of the wound, was smooth, unmarked, as if nothing had ever happened to it. I pressed my hand against it, half expecting pain that never came. "You are stronger than you believe," a voice said. I turned. She was standing near the far wall, watching me with the same quiet attention she had shown on the battlefield. Up close, in the light, she was even harder to look away from. Not because of beauty alone, though there was that too, but because of the sense that she had seen more of existence than I could imagine, and yet she was choosing, in this moment, to look only at me. Where am I? My voice came out rough, unused. Somewhere safe, she said. Somewhere few outsiders are permitted. I asked the only question that mattered to me. Why did you save me? She was quiet for a long moment, long enough that I wondered if I had asked something forbidden. When she spoke, her voice was careful, like she was choosing each word from a great distance. I have watched your kind from far above your wars for a long time, she said. I have seen soldiers beg. I have seen them break. I have seen them turn on each other when death comes close enough to touch. She stepped closer. You did none of this. You lay in the mud, dying, and you thought of home, not of hatred, not of revenge. You thought of warmth and rain and small, gentle things. That is rare, soldier. Rarer than you know. I did not know what to say to that. I had not thought I was doing anything remarkable. I had just been dying the only way I knew how. Your soldiers, I said instead, the ones on the field, they knelt for you. They call me by a name that means eternal, she said, something like tiredness passing behind her eyes. For many generations, my people have believed I stand apart from mortal suffering, that I do not interfere, that I watch and judge and remain untouched. She looked at her own hands, as if seeing them differently now. Today I touched a dying stranger from a world not my own, and I chose to save him. This has never been done. Not in my memory, and my memory is long. I felt the weight of that settle over me. Will you be in trouble? The question seemed to surprise her. A small change crossed her face, something almost like the beginning of a smile. You are dying at my feet an hour ago, and now you worry for me? Habit, I said. Soldiers look out for the people who pull them out of the fire. She studied me again, longer this time, and I had the strange feeling that she was recalculating something about what humans were, what we were capable of being. There will be questions, she admitted. My attendants do not understand why a mortal soldier, a stranger, was worth breaking a covenant older than your entire species. Some will call it weakness, others will call it madness. What will you tell them? The truth, she said, that I looked at a dying man and saw something my own kind had forgotten how to hold on to. Hope without demand, endurance without cruelty. She paused. Your kind fights fiercely, soldier, but you do not fight the way I expected. You fight to protect, not to conquer. Even now, wounded and among strangers, you ask about my safety before your own. I did not feel like a hero when she said it. I felt like a man who had simply been raised right, who had been taught that decency does not stop just because the world turns cruel. She came and sat beside me then, not as a goddess looking down at a soldier, but as something closer to an equal, though the gap between us in age and power could probably never truly close. Tell me about your home, she said. So I did. I told her about rain on hot streets, about the sound of a screen door in summer, about people who worked hard and loved harder, and never expected any of it to matter to the wider universe. She listened the way few people had ever listened to me, as if every small detail mattered, as if my ordinary life was the most interesting story she had heard in centuries. Hours passed like that, though I could not say how many. When at last she rose, there was something different in the way she stood, lighter, somehow, though her presence still filled the room like weather. You will be returned to your people, she said, healed, whole. I ask only that you remember this, not as a miracle you witnessed, but as a moment two strangers chose kindness in the middle of a war that offered none. I won't forget, I said, and I meant it with everything I had left. Before I left that place, she looked at me one final time, and there was something almost like grief in her eyes, the grief of something ancient realizing it had, for the first time in a very long while, felt something close to friendship with a creature it was never supposed to notice at all. Go, soldier, she said softly. Live the life I gave back to you. Live it well. That will be thanks enough. I returned to my unit 3 days later, walking out of unfamiliar territory with no wounds, no explanation the doctors could accept, and a story no one fully believed. I did not try very hard to convince them. Some things are not meant to be proven. They are only meant to be carried. I still think of her sometimes, on quiet nights when the war feels far away. I think about a being who had lived longer than empires, who was worshipped by entire worlds, choosing in one moment to kneel in the mud beside a dying stranger and whisper 4 words that changed everything. "You will live." I did, and I have spent every day since trying to be worth the choice she made.